Okay, hello, hi. So how do we deploy IPv6? IPv6 works in parallel with IPv4, so it doesn't disturb your IPv4 networks. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to buy equipment that support the IPv6. Maybe you want IPv6 won't be the feature that you're looking for first, but for your next equipment, you will need it. So it's a good time to start checking if the feature is available on your phones and PBX. Interoperability with IPv4 and IPv6, as Simon said, it doesn't. You need some translation mechanism between if you want to communicate with both networks. So Asterisk, for example, is a back-to-back user agent, and it translates from it's used to translate the RTP, the communication, the media, between both family addresses. But it adds a bit of unwanted load, but it's less important than the problem with the load with transcoding. If you have a SIP phone that talks IPv6, and it's translated and it communicates with another IPv4 phone, Asterisk will not translate every IPv6 address that you will find in the SIP protocol. So your IPv4 phone might receive IPv6 addresses in the payload. We don't really know it for some old phone. Maybe they won't react really well. So this is some issues that you might find later. Here, it's just represent that, you cannot, if you have two different address families, a communication between different address families, RTP won't be possible. Direct media won't be possible. But there are other alternatives such as ANAT and ICE, but they are not currently implemented in Asterisk. ANAT is required by the US DoD for their new phones. We have implemented that feature, but it's not yet included in Asterisk. There's a better alternative than ANAT. It's called ICE. It's not the same ICE that you have heard before. It has the advantage of it's possible to include in the SDP either multiple addresses, and the phone will just try the one we'll just use the one that is really working. It's not yet implemented. How do we enable IPv6? On different multiple OS, it's already enabled. If a router just advertises an IPv6 prefix, you will get the IPv6 connectivity. For Linux, Fedora as an example, it's just a few lines to change, and you'll get the IPv6. How do we configure IPv6 in Asterisk? As a rule of thumb, it's simple. It's where you have an usually where you put an IPv4 address, now you can put an IPv6 address. And we added no other configuration variable. Just the way to enable it is to specify an IPv6 address in bind ADDR. So if if you want to listen to both IPv6 and IPv4, you use the colon wildcard, and you will listen on all the interfaces. If you need to specify a port, you need to it's like in an URL, you need to protect the address between square brackets. We still support the bind port variables, but they are deprecated. Now the port is always included in the other variable, ADDR variables. Yeah, I talk about you can bind on UDP, TCP, TLS, and IPv6. If you check with netstat, you will see that when you're listening to IPv4 and IPv6 at the same time, you will see just colon. You won't see anymore the 0.0.0. The IPv4 traffic will come through a kind of special address that's called the IPv4 mapped IPv6 address. It's a IPv4 address embedded in IPv6, but it's only an internal address. It never goes on the wire. For DNS lookup, if IPv6 is enabled on a system, usually the DOS will make a request first on IPv6, and then it will try on IPv4. We change a little bit this behavior by depending on how you use the bind.ddr variable. If you are only bound to IPv4, if bind.ddr is only used with an IPv4 address, we will only look up for IPv4 record. If there are multiple records, Asterisk will only use the first result. For the ACLs, it's the same principle. You just enter the address that you want to filter. Do not use the IPv4 map address in the ACL; it won't work. Just use real IPv4 address. For the performance impact of the IPv6 port, it's not much. As you can see, we did some testing before the merge to the trunk, and it's about 3 to 5% more resources that are taken because of IPv6. You can check the full report, the following address. Okay, we can make a small demo just to show you that it works. We need to switch the computer screen. Just one moment. Oh, maybe. Okay. We are just going to show you that we have an Ethernet network that has both IPv4 and IPv6 traffic. And my computer here has a Asterisk PBX, and there's one phone that is only IPv4 and the other phone that is only IPv6, and we're just going to make a call between both. So Asterisk will be relaying the media, the RTP. Yeah.
If you have any questions, now would be a good time.
Yeah.
Yes. Is the colon that distinguishes the port number, is that actually inside of the square bracket, or is that outside?
It's outside. Yeah.
And yet it nevertheless needs to be enclosed in double quotes.
I'm sorry.
It needs to be protected by port number?
No, there are no codes.
Okay, maybe I
at all.
misunderstood. But
Okay, so I didn't quite understand the question.
inside versus outside.
Yes.
What is the point of using use for IPv4 traffic?
Okay. We briefly discussed what's the use for IPv4 mapped addresses. We're going to talk about that in the next session because it affects developers. It doesn't affect users at all. Users will never encounter IPv4 mapped addresses, but they may know of them and they may try to use them in configuration. That's why we mentioned them. Never use IPv4 mapped addresses in configuration. It will just not work. We were kind to include a warning. Actually, that's smart. If there's a warning in ACLs, if you try to, go ahead.
My copy of Stevens that I think was published 30 years ago says use IPv6 because IPv4 is on its way out. Are we really there yet?
It wasn't 30 years ago, it was in the latest edition. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see in June. I know many people, we've been helping many companies turn on IPv6. People are switching. We're not advocating anymore. We're implementing now. We'll be on that.
And I'd like to say that we are seeing now IPv6 only networks, as Ole said. That we tried it. It was tried at the IETF, and because of the address shortage, we will start to see emerging IPv6 only networks. So people will try to communicate with you in IPv6. Okay, so yeah, let's go. I've just started an Asterisk string, and then on the other screen you will have a Wireshark, so you will see the packets flowing. You can still ask questions because the phones will be booting, so are booting.